The San Francisco 49ers just finished their first week of OTAs, and with that, many eyes were on the rookies. But there were several second and third year players that also stood out. So in this video, I want to go over some players on the offensive side of the ball that really stood out and could even start this year. Starting out with probably the most important position group headed into this year, the offensive line. San Francisco selected a couple of offensive linemen in this draft as well as picking up more undrafted free agents. And of all these positions, the one player that routinely stands out is Dominick Puni, the tackle San Francisco selected out of Kansas State. And while he played tackle during his final year there, he also had time at the guard position. And so far during San Francisco's OTAs, Puni has been playing a majority of right guard. And right now, he is slated behind Burford on the depth chart, but he moves extremely well during his drills, and I think he's probably going to start this year, or at least you're going to see him push for that starting job during some point. It might not be week one, but I bet you see him sooner than later. But Dominick Puni wasn't the only rookie that really stood out to me on the offensive line. The other one was the center from Stanford and Michigan, Drake Nugent. Nugent was one of the most productive centers across all college football. During his final year, he was actually a finalist for the Remington Award, which is given to the best center across all of college football. But he was a little bit undersized, coming in at 6'1.5" and weighing 300 pounds. And in a similar way to Puni, Nugent is extremely athletic, and I think he'll have success in this zone scheme. And while he probably won't start right away, I wouldn't be surprised to see him actually push for a roster spot. He looks extremely competent, and I bet could follow a similar trajectory to San Francisco's current starter, Jake Brendel. Jake Brendel also went undrafted, but was developed into a starting caliber center thanks to the coaching of Chris Forrester. In a similar way, while Nugent is currently number 3 on the depth chart, I wouldn't be surprised to see him push for a roster spot and within a couple of years be starting for San Francisco. It's also notable San Francisco's rookie Jarrett Kingston wasn't playing guard, but rather was the backup to Colton McKivitz, so that should be interesting to see how San Francisco actually determines how to use him. Moving over now to the tight end position group, George Kittle was out of practice with a core muscle injury, and San Francisco's other long-term tight ends, Charlie Warner and Ross Dwelley, both pursued contracts with the Atlanta Falcons. So that leaves Brayden Willis, Cameron Latu, Eric Sauber, and San Francisco's other undrafted free agent, Mason Pline. And the best tight end on the field by far was San Francisco's selection last year in the 7th round, Brayden Willis. Last year, my biggest question about him was how he would adjust to the NFL playing speed. Would he be able to beat man coverages, be able to find a soft spot in the zone? And so far, the answer is a resounding yes. Brayden Willis looks like the best receiving tight end San Francisco has had in quite a while. He's just so much more athletic than guys like Dwelley or Warner. But he's not just a great wide receiver, he's also excellent at blocking, and I would say he was actually better at that during his college days than his receiving game. Meanwhile, San Francisco's other tight end they selected last year, Cameron Latu, is still recovering from an injury. San Francisco's second best tight end performing in OTAs was probably Mason Pline, the undrafted free agent. Pline specifically looks like he could become a weapon in the red zone because he's 6'7" and has extremely soft hands. Moving over now to San Francisco's wide receiver position group, Deebo Samuel looks in great shape and he's participating in OTAs where other players aren't. This actually might be the best shape we've ever seen Deebo Samuel in, so it'll be interesting to see how that carries over. The last time it led to him almost being an MVP. But while Deebo Samuel looked impressive, perhaps no one drew more attention than wide receiver Ricky Pearsall, and so far he looks to be living up to his first round billing. His routes are extremely fluid, and he started in place of Brandon Ayuk. Pearsall wasn't the only young player to stand out in this group though. Danny Gray, San Francisco's speedster they selected a few years back, is finally looking to be putting all the pieces together. He had 0 drops across all of OTAs, and he's better able to utilize his speed with crisper routes. Moving over now to the running backs, Christian McCaffrey currently is in Colorado preparing for his wedding, but that left Jordan Mason to shine. He caught 2 extremely difficult passes as well as looking extremely violent in the run game. Christian McCaffrey and then Jordan Mason should be the depth chart this year. It's also worth noting Isaac Ariendo looks like the fastest running back, so his testing lines up with his on-field performance. Transitioning now to the quarterback room, Brock Purdy completed nearly all of his passes. He looks notably bigger as well as having improved footwork. If I were to bet, Brock Purdy is a quarterback like Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes that will just continually refine their work in the offseason. And I've seen this going in from year 1 to year 2, even though Purdy didn't have a full offseason there. So now with the full offseason, I would expect to see a notable jump in his game, especially when you consider the fact this is Purdy's contract year. Outside of Brock Purdy, the best quarterback was Joshua Dobbs, and I would be shocked if he isn't the second string quarterback entering this year. During OTAs, for instance, he completed nearly 80% of his passes, and I think he plays in a similar way to Brock Purdy and can be successful in this offense. I'm not saying Brandon Allen can't, I just think Dobbs is a better quarterback. But ultimately, these are just some of my thoughts about players that really stood out on the offensive side of the ball. I'd also like to say sorry for getting this video out a little bit later than usual. I had some dental work that affected the way I spoke, so sorry it wasn't sooner, but I appreciate you guys being understanding, and as always, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.